Howdy, folks. Awful kind of you to drop on by. We were just heating up some cup noodle water with a campfire here. Having some fun times, just passing time telling stories. Talking about our favorite cowpoke, goes by the name of Ryoga Hibiki. You heard of him? Why don't you pull up a seat, we can talk. See, Ryoga now, he's an odd fella, but he's got a big heart, you know? Plenty of things to discuss there. Oh, by the way, sorry for the late introduction. I'm Elena. Folks call me Hedge around here. And don't worry, I ain't alone. I got nobody here.
Howdy, howdy.
Howdy to you too.
It's,
I know that intro seems weird, but this is maybe the last time I'll ever get to talk about Cowboy Ryoga. So I need to milk that for all I can.
Well, it ain't that it's weird. It's just that I get that a lot living in Texas, so you never know. I didn't expect it today, that's all.
Sure. Well, anyways, as I promised to all you listeners, we're talking a bit about Ryoga here. Now we've discussed him before. I'm very sorry. I can't turn it off. There's still a little tiny bit of Southern drawl there.
Nah, it's all good.
That is
all good.
It's okay. I'm in the central part of California. This is just a daily thing for me too. Is me trying to not let that leak out. Well, anyways, we've discussed Ryoga on the podcast before and discussed what is probably the most notable thing about him. That is being his status as a rival. And not just any rival, but the rival. The main rival for Ranma. He's a pretty strong boy. He's the Vegeta of the show. You know?
Oh, for sure.
But there's plenty of other layers to him. You know? Honestly, Ryoga has it good. Ryoga gets a lot of stuff that none of the other characters get. He gets, maybe not more screen time, but, the screen time he does get. He gets stuff that other characters don't. He gets to learn new moves. He gets, whole arcs. He gets multiple subplots. Ryoga's eating good.
I mean, the fact that he actually gets training arcs puts him way above and beyond anyone else in this show.
Yeah, he gets to keep up with Ranma. Whereas everyone else is whatever they are at their introduction, that's pretty much what they're gonna be for the rest of the series. No real major changes.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's plenty to discuss there with him. Today, I think we should discuss something about Ryoga that, again, not a lot of characters get. Ryoga gets his own love life. He gets, and I don't just mean he loves Akane, you know? Several characters have a character that they like. But okay, let me put it this way. There have been multiple, love charts for the series, both fan-made and official. And, there's the whole joke about, Ranma doesn't have love triangles. It has, a love polyhedron and stuff with so many characters. But when you actually look at it, it's 90% of it is just arrows pointing towards Ranma and Akane, and that's it.
Sure.
There's not a lot of interaction with the rest of the cast.
Yeah, and fan media kind of seems the same way. It's pretty rare to see something that focuses on anything other than those characters.
Yeah. But, Ryoga gets a little bit more. He gets a little bit more. He gets involved in stuff that other characters pretty much never really get involved in. For one thing, he is in love with Akane, and, there is an actual relationship there to discuss and dissect beyond just he has a crush on her.
Yeah, for real. Frankly, Ryoga might have the most twisty love life of any character in this show, sheerly because Ranma doesn't really care about any of the people pursuing him.
Yeah, Ranma is pretty agnostic to the arrows on the chart pointing towards him. They're mostly just there to cause hindrances. Ryoga, though, Ranma gives me Ace vibes sometimes.
Honestly, fair.
He doesn't like physical affection from anyone, it seems. And the only person he really cares about is Akane. But it's always presented as the most innocent, playground crush between the two of them. It's so pure. Meanwhile, Ryoga is like, no, that's a teenage boy. He has moments sometimes.
He sure does. I don't know that I necessarily see Ranma's interest in Akane as 100% super pure or whatever. I don't think it's entirely cutesy. I just think that he tends to be a little more cutesy with her specifically because it is like... I do read him as Ace very much at the time, but in that specific relationship, it almost feels like he's never had actual feelings for someone before and is sort of only vaguely able to express them. So I wouldn't call it like any kind of purity thing as much as just he doesn't know how to do this.
Yeah, I guess more like Ranma's understanding of romance is very simple and pure, mainly because he just doesn't get it. But like a good example is in the story where he gets engaged to Nabiki, and like at the end, his plan to like get back at her and freak her out. Like he decides it's time to turn the tables. Nabiki has been messing with me for so long, now I get to mess with her. And his plan is to give her flowers and say that he likes her just to watch her freak out. And like the fact that he thinks that's how she would react says a lot about him.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, anybody would freak out if that's not how they felt about you, and if they were,
But yeah, so it is very different, especially when we get to Ryoga. Ryoga has had multiple love interests, especially if we stretch our definition of love interest. There's other stuff that could be included there, and I think the best place to start is with the most important love interest. I'm talking, of course, about the female pig from that one clip show episode.
Interesting.
It's mostly a joke. Ranma has had 4 clip shows, only 2 of which aired on TV. So it's kind of nuts that there are 2 others.
Yeah, that's excessive. Interesting, but
yeah, one of them was Ryoga focused, where it's like it's Ryoga, it's raining, he's stuck in a little log cabin in the middle of the woods, it's abandoned, and it's a clip show. Most of the episode is being like, boy, a lot of crazy stuff has been happening to me lately. Cue clip of him meeting Ranma for the first time, or him turning into a pig, or his interactions with Akane, and that's most of the whole episode. But there is a framing device in that episode where, like, because the first clip is presented as like a dream, and then he wakes up like, oh man, what a nightmare. That he hears people outside, like some farmers, being like, hey, the pigs got out, let's go get them. And then at one point, like, a pig breaks through the roof, like, and it's cold and shivering, and this clip show implies that Ryoga can actually understand other pigs.
Interesting. Okay.
Because the pig makes some noises and there's subtitles, like, in Japanese, saying, please save me. And, like, Ryoga got wet, so he's in pig form, and then he, like, goes over to tea kettle and goes human, just in time for the farmers to be like, hey, who are you? We're looking for some pigs. Have you seen one? He's like, nope, I didn't see anything. So, like, at the very least, he at least recognized this was a frightened pig running away from the farm. It's probably what wasn't a good future for it, but like, yeah. and then, like, at the end of the episode, when he comes back, they do a joke where, like, he's trying to, like, because he does the thing he always does of, like, this time I'm gonna tell Akane how I really feel. But then, before he could, there's, like, a movement in his backpack, and then the pig he rescued pops out, and it's got little hearts popping out of it, and it's smooching him, and he's like, oh no! And Ranma's like, hey Ryoga, you're gonna introduce us to your new girlfriend?
That has troubling implications.
I remember watching that, and I'm like, hold on now. Is there anything with this pig? Because, I don't know, this feels like, I don't know, I'm gonna remember this pig. This cute little pig she followed Ryoga. She got into his backpack to go with him on his travels. That feels like a Rumiko Takahashi joke. of just this recurring little pig that keeps showing up, and anytime he turns into a pig, she's right there to have little Pepe Le Pew adventures with him. I don't know, but because this is not only a filler episode, it's a clip show. So that's the one thing that pig is in.
Fascinating.
But you know what? Shampoo never got a cat love interest. We never get jokes of Moose running into other ducks.
Yeah, see, this is what I mean when I say I don't like the implications of this episode, because if he can understand other pigs, is that unique to pigs? Are all animals just... do they have language we just don't understand? What exactly is going on over here?
The episode also implies that Ryoga doesn't eat pork.
I could certainly understand why.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it's nice to have the confirmation, even if it's in filler only.
Yeah, that boy has been in cookpots enough times to...
Yes, but anyways, that's just a little joke. I think the actual, to discuss the actual most important relationship in most important romantic relationship, mind you, because obviously his rivalry with Ranma is the most important thing, as I've established before.
Sure.
He will leave to train, but his most important romantic relationship is also Ranma.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because man, boy does the series love to explore that.
Yeah.
It's like a joke, just a punchline, 99% of the time. But boy, does it come up a lot.
It's very much like, on some level, it falls into the anime trope of, well, we're not putting girls in our battle anime, so our protagonists have the deepest and most gay relationship possible.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's very much like Ranma actively goes out of his way to sabotage Ryoga's relationships with literally anyone other than himself. There's something here.
Not only that, literally in Ryoga's... when Ryoga first finds out about Ranma's curse, it's, I don't like doing exact quotes because, I've watched the multiple translations of the show and the manga in different languages, but the general gist of Ryoga's reaction is he does explicitly acknowledge that he thinks girl Ranma is very attractive in a way that I don't think he realizes that's what he said, which is why I find that scene so funny.
There's also very much, again, it depends on your translation, but in the quote-unquote official Viz translation, it not only does he admit that Ranma is attractive, but it also kind of seems like he's jealous of it. It's very much like, you call that a curse? Boy, you look really good. I wish that was me.
Yeah. Yeah, so, the implication that I'm pretty sure is what is meant to be there is because this scene is before we find out about his curse.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Ranma is still trying to figure out why Ryoga is following him and so mad at him. But the implication, once we get full context, is that, Ryoga has spent the last several months trying to adjust to this pig transformation, and as we said, almost getting eaten multiple times. He had to, travel across the Pacific Ocean twice, constantly getting lost. He's been through a lot. And meanwhile, Ranma is literally you think, listen, Ryoga, I've had it pretty rough. Look at this. I turned into a girl.
Yeah.
Ryoga's response is essentially you call that a problem? Ranma, guess what girls have? Opposable thumbs.
Now you say that, but to be fair, the lack of thumbs never really seems to bother any of the animal people in this series.
True, but it does hinder Ryoga slightly more than the others. But yeah, even Ranma, there have been multiple times of Ranma being well, at least I'm still human.
Mm-hmm.
Ranma, despite his complaints, adjusts to being a girl very easily compared to what it could have been. Multiple times, just he could could have been the one to turn into a panda. The multiple things imply that he's like, well, at least that's not me. Ranma would very explicitly prefer to be a girl than to turn into some animal.
Sure.
And it seems Ryoga probably also feels that way. He at least feels that, like, Ranma's curse is barely even a curse. Like, which, we do our joke lore, but in terms of, like, serious analysis, I also like to interpret that as, like, Ryoga doesn't care about gender.
I think that's very true, yeah.
He almost never cares about Ranma being a girl, at least explicitly. Again, he sometimes says things where I'm like, I don't think he realizes what he's implying there. But, like, in general, like, Ryoga will treat Ranma as Ranma, regardless of what form he's in. To him, that's just Ranma.
I think the only time that I recall that it ever mattered to him was at the martial arts gymnastics arc, where he forced Ranma to be a girl because he needed him to be a girl so he could compete.
Yeah. Yeah, there are, there are times where he is aware. It's Ryoga isn't really colorblind. He knows it's there. Like, Ryoga understands that Ranma can switch between the two forms, but at least in that moment, when Ranma's treating it like a curse, Ryoga's response is basically like, who cares? Like, who cares? You turn into a girl. That's literally nothing. Ranma, you look 90% the same. You got slightly shorter and you have boobs now, and the rest of you is identical. Like, Ryoga is upset at the comparison between that and him turning into a tiny little pig. Which, again, at the time, Ranma didn't know that. But that's all Ryoga cares about. I especially love the Animax English dub of that scene. Because his exact line is something, or something along the lines of like you think you have a curse? Look at you with that gorgeous body with all its lumps and bumps. And that's what I mean. Like, what he's saying is, Ranma, you get to be a pretty girl. That's not a big deal. But I don't think he's realizing that he's, like, very explicitly saying, Ranma's a very pretty girl.
Yeah, for sure.
Ranma is very physically attractive. That's what he's saying.
I think I have seen more fan shipping of Ranma and Ryoga than basically anything else. And I get it. Like, there's always a lot of tension between the two of them. And yes, admittedly, mostly it's either comedic or combat, but, like, they have so much deeper of a relationship than basically anyone else in the show. Even Ranma and Akane, like we were talking about earlier, Ranma's version of talking to Akane is weird and he doesn't know how to express himself. But with Ryoga, he's always, I don't know, a little more open and free about just being a little weirdo.
Yeah. And as you pointed out, that is also just kind of shonen manga in general, but it's a lot more explicit here because, Ranma is a romance series. It has romance in it as a proper thing. Like, as much as we can make jokes about, like, Goku and Vegeta or Naruto and Sasuke or whatever pairing you want to talk about in these shows, those shows don't really care about romance. At best, like, the main character might have a love interest, but that love interest isn't important. Whereas with Ranma, like, the romance angle is important. The relationships the characters form are not only, like, relevant, they are explicitly romantic. And even if it's just played for comedies, the dynamic between Ranma and Ryoga is explicitly romantic. Like, Ranma doesn't really understand how to, like, react to Akane, how to, like, express genuine emotion, but he clearly understands how to make a horny teenage boy go goo-goo-eyed over him when he wants to. Like, he has some level of awareness, even if sometimes it catches him off guard. Like, I've talked before about how sometimes with, like, Tatoaki Kuno, Ranma just gets caught off guard of, like, oh, right, teenage boys. But, like, if you give him time to prep, if you give him time to put on an outfit, Ranma knows what to do. He knows what he's doing with Ryoga.
Definitely. That honestly is another point to me in the ace column, sheerly because of the way he, like, doesn't necessarily know what's sexy or not unless he's thinking about it specifically.
Yeah. And even then, it's less about, like, what he's thinking about and what does he know that teenage boys find sexy rather than what he finds sexy. We never, Rama never reacts to any girls the way other boys do towards him. There's no implication that, like, Rama's basing this off of his preferences.
Mhm.
He's basing this off of the fact that he lives in a very heteronormative society, and he knows what guys like. You know, he goes to school with boys. He went to an all-boys middle school.
Yeah, frankly, like, the only time we ever see Ranma react to women in that context is when they are getting way too close to him and he gets upset about it.
Yeah, it's extremely rare for him to acknowledge that girls are even cute. And even then, it's often in the context of, like, oh, wow, she's cute. Huh. And then that's it. Just the, like, oh, right. Huh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, a thing that you'll see a lot in this series is a girl will just get way too close to Ranma and be demanding something, and he'll be panicked and say yes, even though he doesn't really want to. And I guess the implication is supposed to be that he's freaking out because there's a girl right in his space and she's touching him, but practically speaking, it really doesn't read like that most of the time. It honestly feels like he just doesn't want to say no and make this person sad.
Yeah, there are times when, like, I think a good one, in the, when we first meet the cat ghost.
Yeah.
There's a moment where, like, he tells Shampoo off, and then she looks sad. She's like, fine, if that's what you want, I'll just marry the cat ghost. Who cares, right? Who cares about me? Go have fun. And she leaves. He's like, oh, hey, look, no, Shampoo, I'm sorry. And he goes to, like, comfort her. And then it turns out that was a trap. She just gives him the little cat bell and pushes him in the lake. And he's like, hey, cat ghost, I found you a new bride. And he fell for it. But, like, in that moment, like, Rama very clearly doesn't want to make Shampoo upset. Like, she's still his friend. He doesn't want to hurt anybody.
Yeah, I mean, whatever else you think about Ranma, I think fundamentally he is a good-hearted goober. And yeah, like, a lot of those situations, even I think it's the first time he meets Kodachi, she gets all up in on him and he's worried about it because he doesn't understand why she's getting so close and it's weird. And then she poisons him and the moment is over, but he's, like, panicking because this girl he doesn't know is close to him. It's so strange.
Yeah. And I guess the most damning evidence here is the Tsubasa arc. Because in that one, I think that's, like, the only time well, no, it's one of the few times to see him, like, unironically, like, this isn't a way to get back at someone, this isn't him messing with someone, he is unironically trying to get a girl to like him.
Yeah.
And we see what that is like, and it is the most, like, I watch some movies overnight and I'm modeling myself off of that. He's so over the top. He literally, like, I don't think we see it, but in the animated version, he, like, waltzes in on his tippy toes and does a bow like he's doing ballet. It's interesting how, like, Ranma's understanding of what girls find attractive is a very effeminate man. It's very... It is interesting, and it's very clearly, again, not modeled off of what he values. But like, yeah. All of that is Ranma being awkward. But when he's flirting with Ryoga, it is so natural and it works 100% of the time.
Yeah, zero hesitation ever.
The first time it happens, they have a moment where, like, Ranma's hiding from, like, Akane or something and pushes Ryoga into the bushes. And he drops character for a little bit because he's worried about Akane. And we just get the bit where, like, Ryoga still doesn't know that it's Ranma. Which, in fairness, like, Ranma's disguises get lazier and lazier over time, because the first time he gets glasses, he gets a wig, he gets a big frumpy dress that covers his figure, so you can't tell it's the same person. And then by the end, he's barely doing anything. But, like, in this moment, Ryoga is freaking out because he's like, oh no, this very pretty girl saw me turn into a pig. And because Ranma dropped character because he's not thinking about that, he's like, yeah, I already know, shut up. And Ryoga just gets the moment of like, wait, she knows? And she still says she loves me?
Yeah.
And he just has the whole bit of like, maybe this is true love. Maybe I found the person who will accept me no matter what, who accepts me for who I am. And then just the joke of him like grabbing onto Ranma and like, yeah, let's do this. And I was like, no, get off of me.
Yeah, I think especially at the beginning of the series, there is definitely that aspect, right? When Ranma plays this prank, he'll often freak out and not expect it to work. But I think as time goes on, that's less of an issue. He's never exactly happy to get grabbed by Ryoga for the most part, but it's never. As time goes on, it's less of a "don't touch me" reaction.
Eventually, it becomes a like, tee-hee, gotcha.
Yeah,
It becomes as natural to him as like standing on Ryoga's head. just the like that's just how he says hello at this point.
Yeah, that's the other thing, right? Like, if there's a guy and your first reaction to seeing him around is just to stand on his head, like, I mean, that's something, right? It's not exactly standard romance, but the fact that your immediate reaction is physical contact and, like, supporting your entire weight, having him support your entire weight, like, that's a thing. That's connection right there.
Yeah, it's because, like, Ranma always acts as, like, he is standing on Ryoga, full weight, but Ranma always acts like he's basically just, like, leaning his arm on Ryoga's shoulder, like, hey, buddy, what's up? It's been a while. You know, he doesn't think it's a big deal. Meaning he either doesn't notice, or he just thinks it's funny to mess with Ryoga. Which, there are many signs that he absolutely likes to mess with Ryoga on purpose sometimes.
Yeah, that's weirdly intimate in a way, you know? You are absolutely giving up control and trusting this other person to support your entire self when you do something like that.
It's often just played for jokes. I guess before we move on to, like, Ranma Ryoga's relationship, and I guess this will be a good segue, there is one arc that properly explores that in a way, and that's the fishing rod of love arc.
Yep.
That one, which is so interesting. So there's an arc where Ryoga buys this like magic fishing rod that like if you hook someone with it, they fall in love with you. And we will get to how Ryoga treats Akane in a bit, but his plan was to use it on her, but he misses and gets Ranma instead. And so the plot of that arc is literally Ranma has fallen in love with Ryoga, and now Ryoga has to deal with this. And there are just so many moments and so many interesting implications. And I specifically love this arc because it's not like Ranma's being brainwashed. He still acts like Ranma. He still gets moments of like, oh no, like this is how Ranma would like treat being in love. This is Ranma with like zero freaking out, like 100% confident that this is the person I love, which we never really get to see, not even with Akane. So like, it's interesting to see him just be himself, just be completely natural in expressing affection.
Yeah, that's, this is obviously one that gets a lot of traction, but,
yeah, I think the biggest sign of that, there's like a joke where, like, so, well, first of all, we get the joke where, like, Ranma sneaks into Ryoga's tent and is, like, making him breakfast. He's like, hey, honey, what's up?
Yeah.
And this is Ryoga finding out that, like, because he initially assumes the fishing rod didn't work. You're like, why did I waste my money on this? But now Ranma's here, and Ryoga's like, uh-oh, I think it did work. Oh, no, I hit Ranma with it that one time. Oh, no. And he's freaking out, and he's, like, trying to get Ranma to leave. And, like, they make a joke where Ryoga's like, I don't want some guy serving me, get away. And Rama's like, oh, right. And he just splashes himself with a bucket. He's like, there, is that better? Whatever you want, honey, it's okay. It's like, and then eventually we get the joke of Ryoga, like, being like, Ranma, if you don't get out, I'm gonna make you leave. And Ranma just, like, big smile on his face, completely unfazed, just grabs a tea kettle, splashes it on himself, and now he's a big, tough, shirtless boy with big muscles. He's like, you want to try that? And, like, that's what I mean. Yeah. We never see Ranma be that confident in his romantic pursuits of, like, you want me to leave? Well, you can try.
There's also, like... Maybe this is me reading way too much into character psychology that isn't there, but in my mind, the fact that the very first thing that happens is that Ranma shows up to cook for Ryoga is super important, because Ranma as a character is extraordinarily food motivated, and as far as I recall, this is one of the very few, if not the only time we ever see him cooking for someone else. Like, this is the truest expression of affection he can do, is to put in the labor to make something for you to eat, and not him.
That is absolutely true. And also of note, as the joke I explained shows, he didn't cook the food in girl form. He's not trying to, like, emulate, like, gender norms. This isn't him being like, well, when a girl loves a guy, she cooks for him.
Sure.
He's cooking as a boy. He is being his male self around Ryoga and expects Ryoga to love him back as a boy in that moment. And it's only when Ryoga gets upset, he's like, oh, right, it must be because he likes girls. Let me switch that. And Ryoga's like, no, that's not what I meant. You get out. But, like, that is definitely, like, that is very clearly, like, no, this is what Ranma, 100% genuinely believes. This is what Ranma finds attractive. If Akane could actually cook and she made him proper food, there would be zero hesitation from him.
Yeah, no, that would be game over.
It's the most romantic thing he could think about. But yeah, that arc it's interesting, it's funny, but the other interesting angle of it is when Akane gets involved. Because now Ryoga has the conflict of, well, eventually Akane finds out that, like, at first she thinks Ranma is just messing with Ryoga.
Reasonable.
That's like, yeah, Ranma is kind of just doing what he always does. This isn't even out of the ordinary for him. But eventually she starts to catch on, like, no, something is different. Something's going on. Ryoga, what's happening? And Ryoga now has the problem of, like, well, he can't tell, like, he can tell, like, she finds out about the fishing rod, but he can't tell her that he was planning to use it on her. So now Akane thinks that Ryoga purposely used a magic rod to make Ranma fall in love with him.
Yeah. I mean, as I recall, wasn't the reason she figured it out because he did something and that was starting to make Ranma, like, cry or sniffle a little, and that's when she realized that it wasn't a goof?
Yeah, I forget exactly, but, like, eventually, like, yeah, she notices that, like, yeah, Ranma isn't just messing with Ryoga. There's something going on here. What is this? And there's a little bit of, like, gross. That's unfortunate. There's a little bit of that there. Akane is surprisingly one of the most, like, expecting heteronormalcy from people sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's weird. She's one of the most accepting of Ranma turning into a girl, but also sometimes the one that expects him to be masculine the most.
Yeah.
She's a walking contradiction, as we discussed in her episode. But yeah, I do like just the joke of, like, where she's like, listen, Ryoga, I understand, okay? You're always traveling, you're always alone, Ranma's like your best friend, and sometimes he flirts with you. I get why you might be curious, but, like, this isn't real. It's, like, he's not actually in love with you. You need to stop this, Ryoga. You can't just force people to fall in love with you. And just the thing of, like, well, Ryoga can't correct her. He has to let her think that he is purposely, like forcing Ranma to be his girlfriend. Which is, I love that because I love that this arc forces him to like explore both of those dynamics. It also, unfortunate thing about that arc, it ends with the implication that everyone still thinks that Ryoga is actually gay for Ranma, and we never get any follow-ups on that.
I mean, I don't see an issue with that. If that's a thing that people just think about Rio, like, that's fine, you know? That's just how he is.
It just feels like a waste. Like, I think my favorite of that in the last panel of everyone's reactions, my favorite is Nabiki's reaction. Because she's like, I thought for sure that he liked Akane, but this actually makes so much sense now. But yeah, I love that arc. I love the way it explores that. I love how, like, eventually Ranma is like, well, clearly Akane is the biggest obstacle between me and Ryoga. I need to do something about her. Just straight up like, I'll show that hussy. Try to steal my man, will she?
Well, sure, yeah.
But as I said, that arc also kind of explores Ryoga's relationship with Akane, which is perhaps, like, the most negative thing about Ryoga.
Yeah, I think, as much as I like this arc in general, I think it's also the worst he ever is to Akane.
Yeah, like, if he didn't miss, if he didn't get Ranma by accident, what was he gonna do then? What was his plan there? Cause yeah, it's like the arc makes it very clear Ryoga doesn't really respect Akane. He literally, like, sleeps in the same bed with her against her will. Like, she never consents to that because she thinks he's a pig. And, like, it never really gets explored. If you ever find people that just don't like Ryoga, it's almost 100% because of this.
Yeah, and I mean, that's absolutely a good reason why. Ranma has a line early on about, I won't reveal your secret, it's martial artist's code. But frankly, that goes out the window when one of your martial artists is sleeping in a bed with another martial artist and she doesn't know about it.
Yeah, Ranma is way nicer to Ryoga than he needs to. And, like, I guess in fairness, this is immediately after, like, he does try. He does try at first, and Akane doesn't believe him. Akane kicks Ranma out of the room. He gets in so much trouble for trying to stop Ryoga that it's almost a sense of like, well, fine. If she ever does find out, I can just say, I told you so. But also, after that, he does go out of his way multiple times to cover for Ryoga. He is still of the mindset of, well, Ryoga's still my friend. So, like, I'm still gonna help protect him from the consequences of his own actions. Which is, you know, I doubt many people in universe would get upset with Ranma for not being loyal to Ryoga there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in comedy universe, things are a little more loosey-goosey with regards to how people treat each other, but that one just, I don't know. Even when they play it as a joke, it's still clearly not a joke.
Yeah. There's, like, the closest we get to, like, trying to make it, like, quote-unquote okay is in the chapter where Happosai tries to, like, dress up as Pichan and, like, sneak into bed with Akane. And the joke at the end is that, like, she gets knocked out, but then it turns out she just, like, sleep fights. She just, like, starts punching Happosai and knocking him out in her sleep. And we just get, like, Ranma does the joke of, like, does she always sleep like that? I was like, actually, she's a lot better than usual today. Which even though we never see it and it's never acknowledged again, this does imply that Ryoga regularly takes beatings from Akane in her sleep.
Yeah, he does at some points imply that, like, well, I have to be in there. I have to protect her if someone attacks her during the night. But then we get this, and it's like, well...
Yeah. Again, in fairness, this chapter is literally about Hoppleside trying to do that. So, like, but, like, yeah. Ryoga is, like, he is so enamored with Akane, and it's such a core part of his character, but, like, it's maybe one of the, like, least believable romances. Because, like, there are moments that suggest that, like, despite Shampoo being so, like, careless and, selfish, deep down she does love Ranma. Like, she's literally brought to tears when she has to kill him and she can't bring herself to do it. She doesn't want to hurt him. But with Ryoga, it's like he keeps saying that he doesn't want to hurt Akane. He keeps saying that he needs to be honest with her and he needs to stop. But he never actually commits to it.
Yeah. And, I mean, on some level, it's part of the joke, right? Because half the time when we get one of these plots, it's Ryoga is wandering somewhere, and then some street merchant bullies him into buying a love aid that he wouldn't have gotten otherwise. But then there's always, like, he always follows through, right? In this fishing pole arc, for instance, he spends literally 4 pages saying over and over again, this is stupid, this won't work, I shouldn't buy this, I'm not gonna, and then he's still saying that weeks later as he finally manages to make it to the school and throws the catch, and it's, well, alright, sure, but you did this thing again, you fell for it yet again, so how much is this, like, obviously he is complicit here, but how much is it he's just super vulnerable to marketing?
It's not even marketing specifically. He's just regularly demonstrated to have, like, zero self-control. Like, he clearly knows that what he's doing is wrong. He regularly criticizes himself. He's regularly berating himself, like, not just for lying to Akane, but also for being a coward. Like if he was just honest with her from the start, there would be no problems, and he knows that. He knows that, like, Akane deserves better treatment than this, and he clearly wants to stop doing these things. He just can't help it. He can't resist the temptation once it's presented in him, which is why I feel that it's one of the least genuine crushes. It's like, even someone like, say, Tatewaki Kuno. Like, Kuno loves Akane and the Pigtail Girl because they're super strong. And he's like, whoa, those girls can kick my ass. If anyone deserves my affection, it's them. Like, there's a level of ego there of, I deserve the best girls and these are the best girls. But he's clearly, like, in his mind, he is doing what is most respectful to them. He believes that he is being fair to them, and slightly in fairness to him, Ranma also constantly flirts with Kuno to mess with him and take advantage of him. So as far as he's concerned, the Pigtail Girl absolutely loves him. But, like, with Ryoga, like, the fact that Ryoga is aware that what he's doing is a problem, but continues to do it anyway, I feel paints him in a much more negative light. Like, he knows what he's doing. He just can't stop himself from doing it. He's just that impulsive. He's that unable to keep his like, inhibitions in check.
Yeah, in some ways, it's almost like he has no ability to guard his actions against anything but the next thought that comes into his mind.
Yeah, he's completely impulsive, and we even see that in non-romantic things. Like, 90% of the time, he gets mad at Ranma over, like, the pettiest of things, or, like, he will just ignore the obvious to focus on whatever's right in front of him. He's very dumb.
Yeah.
That's often the reason he's constantly getting lost, is because he refuses to look at the big picture. He's only looking at what's in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's a moment in one of the chapters we're going to talk about later where he's told to walk in a straight line along the edge of the lake, and he's so focused on doing that when there's a river, he just turns with the river because he's just doing the one thing. Even though he can
Yeah.
see the destination, he can't go there because he's following this one direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he can't just look at everything. He just only focuses of like, okay, follow the water. I am looking at the water. And the fact that the water turned into a river and is no longer part of the lake doesn't register for him.
Yep.
He can't see things. And so in those moments when he's being weak, when he succumbs to his desires, he's just failing to see the things that he pointed out to himself 5 minutes ago, that this is treating Akane really, really poorly.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, I mean, we're going to discuss more of them, of course, but often when we see a Ranma disguise or whatever, Ranma will come up and be all teehee, I'm in love with you, I'm your fiancé, whatever. And Ryoga will instantly like, wow, okay, true love. But wait, I'm in love with Akane? Question mark. No, true love. And that's the closest thing I think he ever gets to second thoughts. And even then, it's not even really second thoughts. It's, hold on a second, this is an establishing thing about my character. I need to confirm that it's true real quick.
Yeah, that is the other thing. As soon as another option presents itself, he takes it. He might hesitate for like 1 second, but he will take it. As soon as he sees a girl that suspiciously looks like Ranma, who, as he has established, he thinks is very, very visually attractive, as soon as he meets one of those, who is also interested in him, that's all that matters. His relationship with Akane goes out the window. He might say that he needs to be faithful, but again, he doesn't commit to that. He will grab Ranma and be ecstatic that he has found true love. He is that easy to waver from whatever he's focused on, which is probably why his other romantic interest is, I think she also deserves better. So do you want to talk about Akari?
Yeah. So initially, I had kind of proposed the idea of talking about Akari for an episode, but now that I've reread all her material in preparation for this episode, I'm recognizing that I must have... Because I remember her being much more important, right? And I guess that was just like an emotional connection to her that I managed to form somehow. Because realistically speaking, she has 5 chapters, and then she has one-off panel appearances in 2 or 3 more. She's so nothing as a character, but she mattered so much to me that I thought we could get a whole episode out of her. Akari is the descendant of a family that raises sumo wrestling pigs. And in order to find a husband, she decided it would be a good idea to send her champion sumo pig to run around and fight every man it could find. Because her granddad told her that she couldn't marry anyone who couldn't defeat the pig in combat. So, obviously, you just attack everyone.
Yes. I'm not going to say that Akari has no character. It's just that her character is on par with, like, a goofy salesperson who shows up for 1 chapter. Like, her personality is... She is just a weird sitcom character of the week, except she's around for more than 1 week.
Yeah, it's... So, I mean, her main trait, of course, is that she loves pigs. That's her big thing as a character.
She is that one... I'm dating myself. That old eHarmony meme about the woman who loves cats so much that she starts crying in her dating service video about how much she loves cats.
I mean,
Akari loves pigs.
That is absolutely true. That's 100% the case. But the thing that's most interesting to me about her now, having reread everything, is that because of misunderstandings, she comes to believe that Ryoga hates all pigs. And because of that, she is willing to change her entire personality and start hating pigs because she cares about him and not the things she cares about, which is really weird.
Yeah, it's probably part. Akari is unfortunately a very weak character for a number of reasons, but like in her introductory arc, you pretty much summarize the whole thing.
Yeah,
She shows up. She like, you gotta beat this pig to marry her. Ryoga sees her rampaging pigs and stops it, so now she loves him. The only reason she loves him is because he proved that he is capable of stopping a pig. But like her affection for him is tied to her love for pigs. So the fact that she's willing to cast aside her love for pigs, even if like it only takes like 10 minutes for her to change her mind and be like, I can't do it, she still tries.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so bizarre. This thing that means so much to her and her entire family, her whole family, who we don't really meet, are pig themed.
Well, we do meet her grandpa, but other than that...
Rumiko Takahashi does a lot of really funny, like, panel gags of like she like towards the end especially, where she's literally like, on my grandfather's deathbed he said, and then the next panel is her grandpa saying the thing, but then the next panel is the grandpa literally next to them.
Yeah.
As she says, and that's what he said on his deathbed. And Ranma's like, interesting that he's still around to repeat it. Like, this guy just shows up for 2 panels and then he's gone. But yeah, pigs are important to her. And she meets Ryoga, and like, part of the joke here is that Ryoga is like, wow, a girl that actually loves me. This isn't a trick. This isn't Ranma messing with me. There's no catch. I can just focus on her. And then that's when she's like, you're so pig-like. You're strong and handsome and kind, just like a pig. I have never met a man more pig-like before. Truly, you are the one I am destined to be with because of how pig-like you are.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's why he gets upset and leaves, which is why she mistakenly assumes that he must hate pigs. He didn't like being compared to a pig, therefore he must not like pigs. I need to also learn to hate pigs. Which is just, as you say, just very, very bizarre.
In some ways, it's almost the closest thing to a healthy relationship we get, in that, like, if you are with a partner and a partner really hates something, then yeah, maybe avoid that thing when you're near them for their sake, but it's just taken to such a comedic extreme that it just doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah. And it's so rapid fire because there are basically 2 punchlines at the end. The first being Akari sees Ryoga transform, and she's ecstatic.
Mm-hmm.
She loves it. A man that can turn into a pig. Truly, he is the perfect man. How can you get better than that? She has hit the jackpot. Which it is unfortunate for Ryoga, but again, we get the repeat of that, of like, wait a minute, she knows I can turn into a pig, but she still loves me.
Yeah.
Therefore, the part of his brain that's like, oh, I can still get affection from her, is what's preventing him from escaping. And unfortunately, the second final punchline is where I forget the context, but I think she sees him and like Ranma, like girl Ranma naked together or something. What was it again?
I honestly don't remember. I'm sorry.
Well, I just don't. The punchline is like she leaves and like she leaves a letter. She's like, Ryoga, I'm sorry. I didn't know that you had another girl in your life, but I'll wait for you if things don't work out. Like, the implication is that she mistakenly assumed that Ryoga already had a girlfriend. Now I remember. It's because
oh, right. Yes, the
Ranma,
hypnosis thing. Yes.
yeah, Ranma did a little hypnosis thing on Ryoga of like, actually, this is the thing Shampoo used on him once. Of like, if there's a trigger, you do the thing. Shampoo fed him the dumplings with this powder that, like, if he hears something, she was gonna make it a command, but then someone sneezed, and then that became the command. But upon hearing the command, he's compelled to hug the person and embrace them. And Rama basically does that to Ryoga, but he makes the command the word pig, under the assumption that Akari would be saying the word pig constantly. And then he goes home and finds out that she's now training herself to hate pigs. So the actual reason she's doing that is because it messes with Ranma's plans. The universe is conspiring to mess with Ranma. That's the actual reason.
But sorry, what I was going to say is that this is also a very rare instance of Ranma actually trying to help Ryoga here. Like, we do get it more often later in the series, but the fact that he sees these two together and he thinks Ryoga has a chance and he says, well, okay, I'm just gonna hypnotize Ryoga, so he hugs her every time she says the word pig. Like, it's weird, don't get me wrong, but he is genuinely trying to make this relationship work for his buddy.
Yeah, I feel like Rama will help out his friends, but the part that weirds me out is the fact that he is resorting to hypnosis. He is resorting to, like, going to Cologne and asking if she's got some kind of weird mystical powder or something. You guys use that shit on me all the time.
Yeah, uh-huh.
It's like, oh yeah, sure, we got some right here.
Yeah, as I recall, there's a line that's like, so you're saying she's in love with him and you need something to make him accept that love? That's weird.
Yeah, she's like, if we had something like that, we would have used it on you already. But because of that, the final punchline is Ranma accidentally says pig in front of Akari. So she sees Ryoga get compelled to just embrace Ranma and just shout from the top of his lungs, I love you! And then she just runs away, tears in her eyes, because she thinks Ryoga chose someone else over her.
Yep.
And this is interesting because both of these punchlines do not matter. All of her subsequent appearances may as well have just removed those two final moments from existence.
Yeah, she's gone for 10 chapters, and then when she comes back, she does not mention that at all.
She completely, like, she never acknowledges that he turns into a pig ever again. Her mistake of assuming, like, I think they do have, like, one line where they mention that Ryoga and Akari became pen pals. So there is an implication that he could have at least maybe explained the misunderstanding there. They're like, no, me and Ranma are just friends. But it's just so weird that, like, this conflict is resolved and has two punchlines that change the status quo for this new character, and none of those impact her later appearances.
See, the other interesting thing, so she leaves running off, right? And then the next time she shows up, it's 12 chapters later, at which point she bursts through the wall of his home. She's got her sumo pig standing on him, and she can't see him. She becomes very much like him in this moment. She essentially takes his entrance and his goofiness, and it just becomes her character trait.
Yeah, admittedly, she's already pretty goofy. The whole pig thing is pretty absurd, but yes, she's very comedic.
Yeah, I mean, she is certainly a weird character, but I mean, like, she's taking on his goofy traits, if that makes sense.
Yeah, probably not helping this is the fact that she basically looks like a proto-Kagome from Inuyasha. So even like visually, she doesn't have a lot of unique things to her.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at this page now, and immediately, like, so Ryoga pops out from underneath the pig, and then they're both doing this. Ryoga has this trait where when he gets nervous around a girl, he'll start poking holes in stuff to just draw designs. And she's literally doing the same thing right back at him. They're both doing it at the same time. And it's like, she is more of her own character in the first arc, even though that character is thin. And then here, all of a sudden, she's girl Ryoga.
Yeah, after her introduction, she is just Ryoga's girlfriend. That is her only defining trait. She doesn't even really seem to display any affection towards pigs. Like, she's riding on her sumo pig, but like, she doesn't really acknowledge it. She doesn't talk to it or pet it. She doesn't say anything about pigs. She's just here being Ryoga's girlfriend.
Yep.
That is it. She, like Ryoga's may as well have brought in, like, a Dakimakura of, like, his favorite anime girl and told everyone that that's his new girlfriend. like, she is unfortunately been robbed of what little unique characterization she had.
Yeah. And, there's, how do I put this? So, as much as she becomes... When I say she's girl Ryoga, I do mean that. She's not just Ryoga's girlfriend, she's the same person, but in a different body.
Yeah.
She doesn't get the, like, I am so nervous and I can never say my true feelings thing, but other than that, like, there's nothing that really differentiates the two of them. She's goofy, she gets lost, she can't tell the obvious things in front of her. Like, when she comes to his house, he puts her in a storeroom and claims it's his bedroom, and she doesn't really... She mentions that it's weird, but within 10 minutes, she's turned it into an actual bedroom.
Yeah, like, they do the joke where he's, like talking to her, because the second arc that she's in, it's very short, but the joke is Ryoga gains the courage to basically ask Akane out to come over to his house. I forget the context for that too. Honestly, like, it's unfortunate. These chapters are so kind of forgettable. They blend together a lot.
He's alone at home, and it's a super lucky day or whatever, so because he's lucky,
Yes.
he's gonna...
Yes, so Ryoga is, like, yes, you're right. That is such a nothing... like, setup. It may as well, the first panel may as well just be him like, I'm going to invite Akane over.
Yep.
Just cause.
Because it's a super duper lucky day, yeah. And then Akari just happens to show up on the same day. Yeah.
Yep, and now poor Ryoga invited two girls to the prom at the same night. How is he gonna juggle these two commitments at the same time? So we do eventually just get the joke where, like, he's trying to make sure Akane does not see Akari. And so when Akane's going into the kitchen where the two of them are, he just shoves Akari into a cabinet and then talks to Akane to, like, wait in his room. And then he opens the cabinet and Akari is just patiently waiting. She does not find it weird at all that he shoved her in there.
Yeah, and she's made up a bed, and it's all decorated, and...
No, I mean the cabinet. Like, the little kitchen counter underneath
oh, sorry,
the sink.
yes. Yeah, she gets knocked out, like, 3 times in this arc.
Yeah, she just gets moved around, and then he moves her to the storeroom. And then we get this subplot where Ranma decides to mess with Ryoga again. Which, at least in fairness, he's got it coming. But, like, Rama's now interfering with his plans by pretending to be a new maid that Ryoga's parents hired.
This is a relatively good costume as far as Ranma disguises go, but it's interesting how much that he, like... Akane instantly recognizes him, even though he's wearing the wig and the maid dress. And Ryoga, of course, doesn't, because he can't see through disguises, but... There's no commitment to the bit here. The only reason this works is because Ryoga has no 3D vision whatsoever.
Yeah, bro, like, this is like maybe the 20th time Ranma has pulled this off. I noticed that whenever Ranma, like, finds a strategy that works and keeps using them, they get lazier and lazier. 'Cause, like, early on, Ranma eventually learns just keep spare underwear in his pocket to throw out in case of a hopplesai. And eventually he stops doing that and just opens his shirt, just like, look, titties. There. That's it. That's all you have to do. And it's the same with Ryoga, because again, the first time he does this, he's wearing a wig, he's styling his clothes and his face, and everything is about him is completely different. You can tell how someone might maybe mistake him for someone else. And every time afterwards, the disguises get lazier and lazier to the point where this is just Ranma in a maid outfit.
Well, because like I say, he is wearing a wig this time. It's not completely nothing.
So, was he wearing a wig?
Yeah, he doesn't have the braid.
Oh, right. I remember taking note of that. Like, it's not a wig. I think he just undoes the braid. I think this is just like one of the only times. But I'm like, yeah, I remember once being like, because they once had a whole arc explaining why his hair is braided because of the whole like dragon's whisker thing. But then that wears off.
Oh, actually, this is really interesting. I'm looking at the panels. In one panel, he's dressed as the maid. He's got the long, straight hair. Akane pours hot water on him, and instantly his hair is braided again.
Interesting.
So, yeah,
Oh boy, cartoon logic.
Either there's a wig and it fell off, or it just defaults.
Well, I was gonna say, I did think it was interesting how, like, after that one arc explaining why he ties his hair like that, it's no longer necessary. He can style his hair however he wants now, but he continues to do the little pigtail thing, thus making it clear that he just likes it that way.
Yeah.
I think he just likes the look.
Definitely.
But, like, I assumed he just untied his hair. I think he just styled his hair differently. And that's like one of the only times he ever does that. Which I don't know, I just thought that was neat. The fact that I'm like, oh right, this is after the Steam Bun guy's arc. He can just do that. He can just style his hair differently. Like, that must be so freeing for Ranma. He gets to play with his hair now.
Yeah. I'm sure that that's a thing that we could have seen more of, but to be fair, there's a lot of that.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's... Akari's basically in 3 storylines. There's those 2, and the third one is the last, like, 50 to 60 or so chapters. There is a pattern of where, like, I noticed there are multiple arcs that are just joke. And you realize, oh, this is the last time this gets to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is the last Nabiki chapter, so here's a million Nabiki jokes. This is the last time Ranma gets to, like, try and tell his mom the truth before she finds out. So here's like 3 separate attempts from his dad to stop him. There's this sense of Rumiko Takahashi being like, oh, this is meant to be the last time, so I need to get all the jokes out of my system.
Yeah.
So that one story feels like, oh, this is the last time I get to make jokes of like Ryoga and Akari aren't really meeting full all the way because Ryoga can't commit. So just do that joke like 8 times. Just do like 8 separate jokes of Ryoga getting lost in the dumbest of ways as he tries to get to the place where he needs to meet Akari for their date.
I guess this chapter, more than anything, is the one that makes me refer to Akari as Girl Ryoga, because she is just as much of a problem in this chapter as he is. It's very much like these two have been writing to each other. They are pen pals. They call themselves boyfriend and girlfriend. They're going to meet up. And then just the most absolute comedy nonsense keeps happening to keep them from meeting up with each other. And, like, Akane just sort of finds Akari wandering around, and she's all, well, I didn't think he showed up, so I was just kind of walking in a direction, and who knows where I was going.
Yeah, it's just... I like the one where, like after, like, the 3rd or so attempt, Rama's like, okay, I got another idea. And then he just knocks out Ryoga, and he's like, I'm just gonna take him there. Except, unfortunately, he gets there, and now Akari isn't there. So Rama has to be like, I need to make sure Ryoga doesn't leave, so I'm going to tie him to the statue. And then Ryoga wakes up and he's like, where's the statue? Because he's tied to it and he can't see it. So he breaks the statue and is now carrying it with him, looking for the statue.
Yeah. And eventually this ends with her riding on the statue and him, like, calling out to her, where are you? Where are you? I can't see you. And she's just going, I'm right here. I'm here. And she can't tell him where she is because that's not how their character works. And I do say they because they have one character between them at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. The final joke is, like, they end up falling in the lake, and it's like, oh no, now Ryoga's a pig, they can't go on their date. But again, I'm like, but she found out that he could turn into a pig. They could still go. Her characterization in that first storyline would tell me that she would love to go on a date where she's just carrying, like, pig Ryoga in her little picnic basket. But, like, here it's like, oh no, now their date's messed up. And then the next panel is, after they spent the whole evening, they eventually make their way to the cabin where everyone else is. They're like, we found each other eventually. But, like, again, it's just like, it is ignoring the thing, the change, the status quo that was established in her first appearance.
Well, I'm not sure I really agree with that, because the last two panels of this, like, they fall in the lake together, and he, as Peachan, she's really embracing him. He's no longer tied to the statue because he's tiny. And then the very end of it is them, like, demurring about, like, were you there a long time? Well, no, I didn't have to wait, sort of. It's just that they're doing it right next to everyone else instead of by themselves.
Okay, yeah, that is something. She's got a little sweat drop. Now that I'm looking at the panels. Yeah. Just, I guess my point is, I feel like there are traits of hers that, like, could have been interesting and could have been funny, and they all get ignored so that we can just get more punchlines for Ryoga. We can just get more jokes about Ryoga getting lost again. She has to be just like Ryoga, because otherwise Ryoga can't be Ryoga.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Because if she was reasonable at all, she could have solved this a dozen different times during this chapter.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that that's basically her last appearance. Like, even in the final chapter, where all the characters show up, her only appearance is Ryoga, like, looking up into the sky and being like, I'm sorry, Akari, I can't sit back and do nothing, I need to stop the wedding. And we just see her face in the clouds. Like, that's ultimately, I think, my biggest problem with Akari, is that, like, the entire time, Ryoga is still very obviously in love with Akane. He is still infatuated with her, and will prioritize her over Akari.
Yeah, even when he specifically says that she's his girlfriend, he still is chasing Akane more than anything. I think after that lake date chapter, she is mentioned 3 more times according to the wiki, but she never actually shows up again.
Yeah, in the final arc, like, Ryoga has a locket with a picture of Akari next to a picture of Akane. And that ends up being plot relevant because at one point he loses it, and then Ranma finds it, and he finds the picture of Akane at, like, a pivotal moment to be like, of course, Akane, I need to do this for her. But, like, even there, the fact that the locket has Akane's picture on it is what's important. Akari just does not matter.
Yeah,
Their names are even similar. It's just unfortunate. I think in her introductory chapter or something, there's even a joke where, like, Ryoga goes to their first date, and like, he bumps into Akane, and she's like, wow, Ryoga, you didn't get lost. He's like, you're right, I didn't. This is great. All right, let's go on that date. And they have to be like, no, not with Akane. No, she's not the one you're going on a date with, remember. I guess technically he is treating Akari better in the sense that he's not actively lying to her or manipulating her in some way. But he is still clearly not really prioritizing her. It's why it just kind of bothers me that they just casually start referring to each other as boyfriend and girlfriend cuz of this off-screen pen pal thing that's mentioned in one panel.
And see, that's it isn't even mentioned. There is a caption that points to both of them and says pen pals. They don't say it.
Yeah, it feels unearned. It feels like,
yeah.
and again, a lot of the last the last several dozen chapters feel like Rumiko Takahashi, she has decided what the final arc is going to be. Therefore, every time she writes something, she's like, this is the last time we get a Moose and Shampoo arc. This is the last time I get to make jokes about Akane not swimming, so I should end this arc with her learning how to swim. Just constant things of we're taking little tiny baby steps to wrap up as many loose ends as possible, but in a way that's it's not 50 epilogues in a row. It's just here the tiniest of changes to the status quo. And it's so weird that Ryoga gets a girlfriend is a tiny change to the status quo when that feels like it should be a big deal.
And I mean, especially over the course of the last 100 chapters, which, yes, I realize the last 100 chapters, it's a huge chunk, but also it is the end of the series. It's a 400 chapter series, right? This is the end game. A lot of the other characters in the series do get love interests introduced. We get Akari here, Kuno has somebody, Konjo, I think her name is, Nabiki has somebody for a little while, and almost all of them, they just don't stick. Even Nabiki's, she actively gets rid of hers. She doesn't like him. And even Konatsu, the ninja for Ukyo, it almost feels like she's trying to pair off these other rival characters because she knows how Ranma and Akane are going to end up, so they have to be taken. They have to introduce romantic relationships so they're happy. Except it doesn't stick because that's not how she wants to tell her story. So almost all of these relationships get broken up for whatever reason by the end of the series, even though they were introduced to be epilogues.
Yeah. Konatsu's a weird one, because of the ones you listed, Konatsu's the only one that gets to stay, but also Konatsu was introduced 30 chapters from the end?
Yeah,
So this character gets to stay, as in they appear in one more chapter, and then here's the final arc. And I guess they imply that Konatsu and Ukyo are living together, but at no point do they imply that there's anything romantic there. Ukyo just gets a roommate, basically.
Yeah.
They're roommates. Guys, they're roommates. Look at them. Look at these two lovely roommates. But you see this with all the characters, and you pretty much listed all these examples of it feels like an attempt was made to make these epilogues, but every single one of them at the last minute refuses to let the epilogues create any lasting changes. But I suppose that is Ryoga's love life as far as the manga is concerned.
Well, there was one other thing that I wanted to mention about Akari specifically, because her last name is Unryu, which I think this is really interesting. This is apparently specifically, she's named for Kyukichi Unryu, who was a sumo wrestler from the 1800s. That name is a deliberate allusion to one of the most famous sumos to ever do the thing. And yet, she doesn't sumo or fight or anything. She just happens to be vaguely related to Sumo Pig guys.
Like, in that first introduction, at least it's implied that, like, her entire life has revolved around sumo pig wrestling.
Yeah,
She's not the one doing it, but she is raising the pigs that do the martial arts. But again, she doesn't even really mention or acknowledge that she cares about pigs after that first arc.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I feel like if she had been introduced 100 chapters earlier, she would actually have been super strong, and she's good at sumo, and that's her fighting style because she practices with the pigs, but because she
Yeah,
comes in so late...
she specifically introduced during this period of time where things are introduced to be epilogues.
Yeah.
They're not introduced to make any changes to the story, they're introduced to be the conclusion. Ryoga gets a girlfriend. The context for how he gets from point A to point B doesn't really matter.
Yep.
It just gets ignored. And also the fact that he has a girlfriend also doesn't really matter because he's still pining over Akane to the very end and is right there alongside everyone else trying to sabotage Ranma and Akane's wedding in the final chapter.
Uh-huh.
So none of that really led to anything. And it's unfortunate that, like, that's the context in which Akari gets introduced. It's, you know what this is? I feel like the sitcom How I Met Your Mother was a very flawed premise on account of the fact that it's called How I Met Your Mother. Because that means that no matter how they wrote the series, the finale was at least implied to be about a character that we know nothing about and we're going to meet her for the first time, and that's the ending.
Sure.
And we're gonna focus on this over the characters that we've been getting to know for the last, like, 9 seasons. And that show was just doomed because it meant that the finale was going to be either ignore the people your audience actually likes to focus on this new woman that we know nothing about. We don't care about her. Who cares about this relationship with someone we don't even know anything about? She's just introduced to be the finale. Or you could do what the show actually did and just kind of ignore the premise. Who cares about the mom? She doesn't matter. Which just made a bunch of people be like, well, then what was the last 9 years for?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that show does have a lot of problems, and that's not what we're here to talk about, let's be real.
Yeah.
But I do think they did as good of a job threading that needle as they possibly could. Because the last season was all about, like, the day leading up to those two meeting. We do get to see her as a character. We get plenty of time with her, like, on her own, doing her own thing. It's just that those two characters don't intersect. Like, she's talking to the other characters, she just doesn't talk to the main guy.
Yeah, but also, like, no matter how well written that last season could have been, that is still one season out of the several years we've spent with all these other characters and plot points that have nothing to do with her. And that's what I feel is flawed. And that's what's happening here with a lot of these characters. They exist to be the finale. They exist to be the mother that Ryoga meets at the end. and unfortunately it means that, like, what ends up happening where she just kind of gets pushed aside because are we gonna spend, like, an entire sequence of the final chapter on this character that has, like, as far as the last few appearances of her are concerned, 0 personality traits, 0 things going for her, 0 unique things about her. She's just here to be an epilogue, and then they move past the epilogue. It's just unfortunate that, like, because that's how she is introduced, at no point does Rumiko Takahashi actually do anything with what she sets up there. All of that gets forgotten, and I don't know. I guess, why do you think she resonated with you so much before you went back to look at those chapters? Because I could sort of see why a character like this would mean something, and why you might remember it as being more meaningful than what you actually got.
I'm not entirely sure. But having talked about her a lot, I sort of wonder if it was... Because I'll admit, in my memory, it was a lot more like Ryoga finally being able to recognize his feelings for someone and say it out loud and have a relationship. So I guess it's possible that that's why I cared so much about it, was because it felt like she mattered in my memory, but I
Yeah.
don't know where I got that impression from, having reread these chapters.
It feels like she should have mattered, even if that's not what we got. Because, like, it is so bizarre that that isn't what ends up happening with her introduction.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it feels like this should have been a thing in a way that, these are 16-year-olds. None of these relationships are going to last. They're all going to be broken up within 6 months. But it feels like it should be a real relationship, just by the way they talk to each other. And so much of it is just set dressing that maybe I fell for the trick when I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I can completely relate to you because I felt exactly the same. Not for Akari, mind you, but for Anna.
Interesting. Okay.
So there is an episode of the anime that has a very similar setup where Ryoga gets a new one-off love interest. And I'm gonna be honest, everything you described about your feelings towards Akari and how she was used kind of applied to how I felt about that episode by the time it ended and when I went back to revisit it for this podcast. Like, word for word, the exact same feelings. So I guess it's time to talk about Cowboy Ryoga.
Yeah, I suppose so. Now, as I've mentioned before, I'm not really familiar with the anime. That the manga was only the other thing I did. But just like browsing real fast the wiki page here. Oh boy, this is they sure did reskin a story, huh?
Well, I mean, so what do you mean when you say that? Which
Well, I
story
mean,
are you?
I'm even just looking at, like, there's an image on this site of Anna being tied to a boulder in exactly the same way that Ryoga was earlier tied to the elephant statue. And, like, they're just carrying the exact same imagery, but with slightly different characters.
Right. So I see this a lot on like the wiki of people being like, this character is. Hold on, let me see this. Yeah, in the trivia section on the wiki, she is similar to, but predates Akari Unryu. As such, she may have been her inspiration. Fans love to
Really?
assume this. That, like, yeah, because remember, the anime ended like halfway through the manga's run.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
There are a lot of things in the second half of the manga that people were able to point to and being like, it's kind of interesting how both the anime and the manga have a pair of Chinese twins associated with shampoo. Is that a thing? What's up with that?
Huh. Yeah, honestly, I had no idea that the anime ended first. Usually adaptions take so long. I just assumed that was...
Yeah, as I pointed out before, the final episode of the anime is Ranma meeting his mom for the first time. Her introduction is the final episode.
Huh. Okay.
So yeah, this episode came first, and I'm not saying, like, I don't want to assume that, like, Rumiko Takahashi specifically saw this episode. But yeah, there is some similar energy here. And the end result is the same. So this episode is a Western. When I say Cowboy Ryoga, I mean literally, Ryoga just becomes a cowboy. He starts working at a cattle ranch. He is helping out these farmers fight off these bandits. Like, the episode starts with, like, Ranma and Akane at the little dining room table watching TV, and there's just a Western movie on the TV, and then it cuts to, like, Ryoga in the exact same pose as the cowboy on TV, as we then focus on his adventures in this weird Japanese cowboy town.
Huh. Interesting.
I feel like the best part of this episode is the middle. Because it starts with Ryoga encountering this old farmer and his daughter, and they eventually convince him to stick around and help them because, I call them bandits, but it's really like the people in the next farm over who occasionally show up to, like, vandalize their property or do stuff to their cows. And they're like, oh, dang it, they're chasing us out of business. We need help. Help, Ryoga. Or, I guess I should say, help us, Wandering Joe. Because there's these legends of this cool guy called Wandering Joe. Like, everything about this story is like, Ryoga has walked into a Western. This is just straight up, like, this is a cowboy town. He's helping this ranch fight off against these bandits who are wearing their cowboy hats. And just, like, there's that, and then the final third of the episode is Ryoga dealing with these evil cowboy villains in a random abandoned gorge. So to me, the best part is the middle, where he gets to interact with the rest of the town.
Yeah, makes
because
sense.
I love how, like, the weird dichotomy, because the middle part is where we get so many jokes about the fact that they're still in Japan. Like, Ryoga will be walking down this, like, old west town with the dirt roads and the little wooden buildings, and he'll walk into, like, a saloon with the whole saloon doors and everything, but the sign will say Western Noodle. And he'll walk in and see all these guys in cowboy outfits with bowls of ramen.
Yeah, I am seeing that the villain is a practitioner of, quote, Western martial arts.
Yes, like, we meet the villain. He looks like a cowboy. He's a cowboy villain. He's got the hat. He's got the bandana. He's got an eye patch. But he shows up. And he's just like, I don't like your face, stranger. I don't want to see you in this town ever again, or my name isn't Ushinosuke of the Oshimambe clan. To me, that's the funniest part. Like, this evil cowboy man reaches for his gun holster and then pulls out a knife because they're in Japan and just throws the knife. It's so goofy, and I love it. And this screenshot you mentioned of Anna tied to a boulder, like, I kind of like Anna because we don't see her fight, but she's clearly willing to throw down. She is clearly strong, because the introduction is Ryoga gets lost, and then these farmers show up with, like, rakes, and they're like, hey, who are you? And they start attacking him, and he just disarms them. He's like, hey, hold on. I'm just lost. And then the real bandits show up, and Ryoga defends them. So that's when they're like, hey, can you help us? We're being attacked by these evil cowboy guys. And he ends up staying with them. Anna was, like, she didn't last 5 seconds, but she tried. She tried to attack Ryoga with a rake. And in that joke, we're like, eventually the bandits kidnap her and tie her to the boulder. But I don't know if you noticed in the image you shared, she's standing up and smiling.
Yeah, she sure is.
Because the joke is, Ryoga fights off the villains, and she's like, Ryoga, you did it! And then she just stands up and lifts up the boulder like it's nothing and runs over to him, like it was clearly doing nothing to keep her restrained.
Yeah, this is kind of what I meant when I said the imagery was the same, because she's very clearly running around carrying this thing, in much the same way Ryoga carries that elephant statue, but...
The part that I find interesting about this episode is, like I said, it starts with Ryoga meeting these farmers, and they do the joke where he's like, I'm sorry, I'm just some guy, I can't save you, I just need to get back to Tokyo, I got people there waiting for me. And then he gets lost and keeps circling back. And they're like, so you will help us? No, that's not what I'm saying. Here, let's get you a nice room set up. And he just stays out of awkwardness, I guess. So I guess one problem in this episode, at no point does, like, he works at the ranch, but he just works in his default clothes. He's just wearing the yellow tag top and such with his bandana. He never dresses up like a cowboy. Except for one time where he does wear this.
Well, I mean, that's something, I guess.
Just they look adorable. I gotta say, this is an image of Ryoga and the farmers just wearing actual, just literally dressed up like cows.
It's like, listen, I got nothing against a good kigurumi, but I don't understand the design of this one.
I think they're adorable. I think it's, like, ideal. Like, this feels like it's designed to be cute.
I guess because it's like, normally the face hole would be where the mouth is, but this has the nose ring below where your face goes, so it looks like you have a chin piercing, basically.
I guess, fair enough.
Like, overall, very cute. I think that just, like, one quick design tweak would be perfect, and I'd love one.
But yeah, you can see this image, Anna looks very determined. I was so confused because in both the English and Japanese version, her voice actress sounds so much like Akane. I had to look it up. I was like, is that just the same voice actress? And I'm like, no, it isn't. And then I saw in Japanese, I'm like, she also sounds similar there. But that's also a different voice actress for both versions. But it just feels so intentional. Like, between that and Akari sounding so similar to Akane, and this also feels like another similarity between the two. Like, there is a, like, potentially, if not accidental, connection between this love interest and Akane. There's something about her that reminds the audience of Akane. Especially since Anna behaves very similarly to Akane. Like, again, her just being able to lift up a giant boulder like it's nothing. Like, she acts like a damsel in distress, like, Ryoga, save me, but then she can clearly lift it up herself. She doesn't need to be saved. She's just happy that Ryoga came to save her.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know, that feels like an Akane thing.
But even then, like, Anna and Akane, well, it's not the most obvious connection, but there are maybe a syllable and a half away from each other. It's still pretty similar.
Yeah. And so, I guess the most interesting thing about this episode is that it implies that a very long time passes. We don't see most of it. The entire, the commercial break is after Ryoga's first day on the job, where they put on these little cow outfits and go sabotage the enemy's farm, and then run away. And it's cute because they're like, come on, Ryoga, we gotta do it. And they're basically just doing, like, little harmless pranks. Just, like, writing in Sharpie on the signs or on the cows, like, losers! And then just, like, grab, like, a couple of vegetables that, like, whatever they can fit in their arms, or, like, run! It's, like, completely ineffective. And then we get the commercial break, and when it cuts back, we get a scene of Ranma and Akane receiving a postcard from Ryoga, where he talks about how, for the last few weeks, he's been working as a ranch hand helping out the locals in this cattle ranch town. And it's like, oh, he's been there a while.
Huh.
We see him using, like, the breaking point to, like, plow the fields so that Anna can plant seeds. Like, he has created a new life for himself in this cattle ranch. So even though we don't get to see it, there is an implied connection. It is implied that he has spent a long time with Anna. So, like, we just get moments where, like, the dad is, like, their cow named Charlie. I love the cow because the cow is almost always standing up on his hind legs like just a dude. Like the cow is like nudging the dad, is like, oh right, I'll leave you two kids alone. Oh, like this implied romance that ends with him rescuing Anna by the end. And the final scene, well, I guess the second to last scene, Ryoga is like he's just watching the sunset, thinking about Akane, and then thinking about Anna, and he's being introspective of like, what do I do? Like, he has to stop and think about it. Like, he has made a new life for himself with someone that cares about him, and he clearly cares about her. But also, Akane exists. And just, the finale is literally, it feels almost heartbreaking. I was so thrown off by the ending of the episode. Because Ryoga is basically like, sorry, Anna, I've got someone waiting for me back home. I can't do this. And then he just leaves without elaborating any further. And that's the last Anna gets to see of him. She literally starts crying. And then when she goes after him, it's too late because Ryoga tripped and fell in a well or something. And she just runs past Pichan and is like, Ryoga, where are you? And her dad's just like, forget about him, Anna. He's off to do his own thing, wandering off into the sunset like all cowboys do, you know? Just, that's the end of it. And I'm just like, that's kind of mean.
Yeah.
What? Like, you can at least explain things to her a little bit more than that. Just leaving like that? Like, it's not even like, I can't stay here, and then going back to the house to pack his stuff and, like, be like, I need to go. It's literally, like, I need to go, and then leaves. Forever. Like, in the middle of the day. No warning whatsoever. His planet needs him.
You know, when you said that he had a moment and was being introspective about what he wanted, I had this feeling of like, wow, I didn't really know he could do that. Most of the time when he gets introspective, it's just for a gag. And then to immediately go from he's honestly considering his options to I'm abandoning you forever bye is so wild.
Yes, it's like, and then the final scene is even more nuts, because the final scene is he's made his way back to Tokyo, and then he bumps into Akane, and no, sorry, the ending is, he makes it back and bumps into her in pig form. Like, he gets splashed, and then he meets Akane. She's like, Pichan, hey, I've been looking for you! And then he runs over, and she picks him up and hugs him, and we even get, like, the little glossy anime filter of, like, Akane hugging and kissing Pichan. And it's framed like, oh, they're back together. And meanwhile, I'm like, dude, Akane was literally crying, like, 5 seconds ago. What do you mean this is how the episode ends? Or not Akari, Anna. God damn it.
Yeah,
It's just... So yeah, I could maybe relate to the things you were saying about Akari after watching this episode. I guess the weirdest takeaway is that, like, that ending especially, like, it's different, but they both have the same problem as in the manga of, like, we are meant to operate under the assumption that Ryoga's true love is Akane. No matter how perfect things get, no matter how many better options are available, he can't forget about Akane because this is real love. That's the person he truly loves more than anything. Mm-hmm. And we get the opposite problem in the two, where in the anime, I'm like, yeah, but we see him have a pretty good life with Anna. It seems pretty alright. There's literally nothing stopping him except he just decides that Akane means more, so he has to leave. And it's just kind of being in a really cruel way. And we just have to just forget about this new character. Who cares about her? Now Pichan and Akane get to hug and kiss, and it's a happy ending. And it doesn't feel happy. Meanwhile, in the manga, we have the opposite problem where we're told that Ryoga has a girlfriend, he is moving on, he is committing to a new girl, but he clearly hasn't moved on. He is still obsessing over Akane. So we still feel bad for the new character because even though she technically quote unquote won, he technically chose her. He didn't commit to her. And in both versions, we're just meant to be like, we're not allowed to let go of his obsession with Akane, which is just so bizarre given how many times other characters, like, say, Ranma, can so easily interfere with that. He will just forget about Akane so easily when he's got Ranma here flirting with him. But when it's someone else, when it's someone that's not Ranma, he can't forget about Akane at all. He can't let go. There's no winning here.
Yeah. The thing that's the most frustrating to me, I think, about this particular loop of relationship weirdness is that I honestly and legitimately, truly do not know what it is that Ryoga likes about Akane. He keeps saying he's in love with her, but he doesn't talk about any, like, specific traits or behaviors of hers. He just is in love with the idea of her. And that's what makes it so frustrating, that he can't seem to break out of that pattern.
Yeah, it's like he falls in love with her because she shows him affection, but while he's a pig. And, like, that's enough to get him to fall in love with her. And it's similar to the whole thing of, like, all Ranma has to do is pretend to not be weirded out by Ryoga's pig transformation, and suddenly Ryoga's all over this stranger. This stranger that just happens to look like Ranma, but hey, she's not weirded out by the pig stuff, so clearly this is my soulmate. Like, he's so quick to move on and develop affection for literally anyone that remotely reciprocates him in his eyes. And yet Akane's the only one that he sticks to. Despite the fact that, like, she didn't really do anything that any of these other instances didn't. He just keeps going back to her because, well, that's just his status quo.
Yeah,
that's what he resets to at the start of each episode.
Now, obviously, he has to reset to status quo at the end of each episode, and obviously they could never say this, like, in the episode, because it would mean too much interiority for him as a character. But do you think there is a percentage of a possibility that he left Anna because he thought she might be Ranma in disguise?
You never know. I mean, I love the implication that he can't recognize Ranma because of appearance, but he's like, wait a minute, that girl lifted up that boulder just like Ranma can.
Listen, I mean, he may not be able to see through the disguises, but he knows that anytime he gets into a romantic thing, Ranma's there. And Ranma's not around here somewhere, so it must be.
But yeah, I guess that settles it. At the end of the day, the most important relationship for Ryoga is still Ranma.
They're gonna make beautiful husbands someday.
I can't believe the series ends with Ryoga bringing the little blue trumpet back to Ranma. Boy, do I feel like my time was wasted. Anyways, I feel weird talking about Ryoga sometimes because I'm like, I know that this isn't how most people feel, but to me, Ryoga is on par with Haposai. Of like, this character just sucks. He has zero redeeming qualities, and I'm never rooting for him, but I still think he's funny and creates funny situations, so I don't hate him. So I guess I take the average person's feelings towards these two characters, and I'm just somewhere in the middle for both of them. I don't hate Haposai as much as most people do, but conversely, I don't really like Ryoga all that much because to me, he is just as much of a, like, selfish, deplorable person with no redeeming qualities. And I know that, like, when I talk about him, that might maybe come through. And I'm just like, I mean, I don't hate the guy, but, like, it's hard for me to talk about him when so much of the last 2 hours have been us talking about how Ryoga just can't commit to any girls, and he's constantly mistreating them, and moving on, and changing his mind, and he can't do anything right, and he's just a big dumb idiot who refuses to learn anything. And anytime something feels like it's gonna change, the story just refuses to do so because we're not allowed to move away from his crush on Akane. That's just the status quo, and we can never change that, even though that status quo revolves around him lying to and mistreating Akane and not giving her any agency. And this is meant to be the pure love that he chooses over characters like Anna. And I'm just like, yeah, he does kind of suck.
I guess my perspective on the matter would be mostly that, like, yeah, obviously he is doing some bad stuff here, and obviously he is not a good person, but the thing that I think defines him from Hapasai is that it feels like, if you take each individual Ryoga story, every time it feels like he could be a better person, and then the next one just ignores that movement at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas Hapasai just kind of revels in being the awful person that he is.
True. But I said earlier, like, when comparing him to, like, Tatsuaki Kudo, I can almost respect someone who is just unaware of how awful they are versus someone like Ryoga who clearly is aware. Ryoga does reprimand himself and feel guilty for his issues. He constantly again, he has an actual moment of introspection in that filler episode. We see that he is capable of looking inward and growing as a person. So the fact that he doesn't feels worse to me than someone who doesn't even try.
Yeah, that's what I find the most frustrating about his character, frankly, is because he clearly is trying. He's trying so hard over and over and over again, and he gets to the edge, and then we have to reset for comedic reasons.
Yeah, he is the most like it's
honestly,
it's like
he's the Sisyphus of Ranma.
Yeah, he can't. Like, which is very fitting because he can just break the boulder. He doesn't even need to carry it. That's his whole thing.
No one else in this series is even trying to develop their character, and the only one who is keeps getting hit in the face with the boulder that he could break.
Yeah, I suppose that is true. Not a lot of people are really trying in this series. So, I guess in some perspectives that could be commendable. Again, I know that most people don't really hate Ryoga, especially not on the same level as someone like Hapasai. So I guess that's probably why. Like, he does get to have more of a character than most other characters in the series, even if that character isn't allowed to make progress. He's at least allowed to try.
Yeah. I guess it's like he's on a repeating loop, and every time he levels up, it just sets him back to level 1.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, I feel like I could really like Ryoga if he were ever allowed to progress, but because he's not, he just kind of occupies this, yeah, this guy's here again. I really wish he'd get over it and kiss Ranma already.
Yeah, I can see why so much fan fiction involves him. Like, I can see why people would want to make stories about him because, you know, similar to Akari, it feels like the pieces are there. Even if Rumiko Takahashi didn't use them, she set up the chessboard and then proceeds to, like, throw a shogi piece at us or something and then not play. But the pieces are there.
Yeah, as ever, I have to direct folks to the wonderful fan fiction Girls Before Swine. You can find it over on AO3, in which Ryoga is in fact jealous of Ranma's transformation because she's a trans girl. So there you go.
Yeah, yeah, that is on my list, actually. I got some fan fiction recommendations from digging through what are the most popular ones. But yeah, I guess that's Ryoga.
Yeah, I suppose it sure is.
So again, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to. I guess that's as positive of an ending we can end off on. As always, I try to be mindful of the fact that there are people who will listen to this, and I'm their biggest exposure to Ranma stories. So I don't want to paint that perspective too much. I'm just saying, Ryoga could be handled a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Obviously they use it as his motivation. He's so self-conscious. He's so ashamed. He can't let anyone find his secret. But the simple fact that it continues... the last Akari chapter that she's actually there for is 379, yeah? And as we mentioned earlier, the end of that chapter is him and Akari falling in the lake and him turning into Pichan. When that happens, Ranma physically turns Akane around so she cannot see what's happening. And the fact that not just Ryoga, but also everyone else who knows is actively lying to Akane is what makes it feel so bad to me.
I don't know if anyone else does. They should, but it's never really suggested that anyone but Ranma is aware of Ryoga's transformation, except for, Shampoo and Moose and Genma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, uh-huh.
Which, I don't see why any of them would care about Akane with the Pichan stuff. Genma, I guess we could add that to his list of crimes, but it's not like Shampoo and Moose are around to be like, hey, Akane, you should watch out for that pig.
Yeah, fair.
But yeah. I suppose that's a good time for a place for us to stop. So,
yeah,
where can people find you?
Yeah, I can be found at Nobody Adams on Blue Sky. That's Adams with 2 Ds, like the family. And, these days I am streaming RPGs for Random Rhapsody. That's twitch.tv/Random Rhapsody. I am there every Monday, 6 or 7 Central, depending on the week. And, I play in 2 different actual play campaigns, alternating weeks. It's a good time. We do a lot of weird stuff over there.
Yeah, that's cool. And for anyone who wants more of this stuff, well, there's always more Ranma. But if there's anything specifically Ranma you're interested in, maybe you could write in about that at ranmapodcast@gmail.com. I made it for a reason, mainly the fact that it's ranmapodcast@gmail.com, and that's super easy to remember. But it could still be useful. Also set up a Ko-fi, because, if you want to send me a buck for an evening, that's fine, whatever. I'm not expecting much. But I guess this is our first time revisiting a character on this podcast. So I'm glad we're at this point. I'm glad... because early on, I had these moments of I don't want the third episode to be let's talk about Moose's ambitions as a martial artist. I feel like there are certain topics that you want to cover first. But I'm glad we're at the point where, yeah, we can revisit stuff. We can go back. We can cover more obscure things. It's a good thing to explore. And it brings out some fun ideas. Hey, did I ever tell you of my many stupid fan fiction ideas? There should have been a story where Ryoga and Shampoo get stuck in the woods in their animal forms, and it just becomes like the journey home of these two little animals trying to make it back. And like the ending could be like they make it back to town and they washed up on like the riverbank, and some homeless guy's like, "Oh no, this poor cat and pig, let me warm them up," and then they just jump him and steal his hot water, and they're just dancing naked, like, "Yeah, we're back, woo!" And then they just leave. I don't know. As exemplified, Shampoo is one of like maybe 3 characters besides Ranma that knows Ryoga could turn into a pig. I feel like you could have explored that. Not all relationships need to be romantic. I feel like they don't explore enough of the non-romantic ones.
Yeah. I mean, not... I know we've been talking a lot about missed opportunities on this episode, and I want to be clear, I do love the series, but I think if anything is underutilized in this series, it's the characters who can transform into animals as animals, because so much of the time it just happens as a gag, and then they're back to human a couple panels later, and it's like, why did you bother giving them this power?
Yeah, I would have loved to, like, I feel like a very easy filler episode would have just been, here is just Ryoga being a pig for a day. Just what is his regular day-to-day life like as a pet?
Yeah,
You know, there's a lot. Ryoga has maybe the most pieces on the board besides Ranma, which of course means he has the most missed potential. But hey, that's what fan fiction is for.
Absolutely.
Have fun writing your own, folks.
お空でカラスが鳴いている道端で猫も鳴いている夢は果てなく遠いです好きだ茜さん